As a small YouTuber, I often find myself brainstorming ideas for good content. And I had a great idea for a Night Train video. Night Train, but every enemy is bell-bearing hunter. Sounds like a banger video, except there currently is no enemy randomizer for Night Train. So I decided to do the next best thing. I'll replace every enemy with bell-bearing hunter in Elden Ring instead. Can I beat Elden Ring, but every enemy is bell-bearing hunter? Real quick, here are the rules of this challenge. To make everything bell-bearing hunter, I'm using the Elden Ring enemy randomizer created by the 5th mat. These are the randomizer settings I am using. I am not allowed to unrandomize the game or change any settings. And I am not allowed to use any other mods. No glitches are allowed either. But I'm allowed to use any item that I get, even if it's cheesy. We start out in Limgrave as per usual with a sick outfit thanks to the randomizer. Holy, that's a lot of bell-bearing hunters. I do the usual stuff. I get called maidenless, get beat up by tree-bearing hunter, get the crafting kit that I'll never use from Carly, and speak to a woman for the first and only time ever in my life. You're not a bell-bearing hunter. Ignore that. And ignore that too. Okay, now that I have the horsey, it's time for some setup. I try and fail miserably to get this Dectus half at fort height. This encounter taught me that tight corridors suck. I decided that I needed a better way to get past hordes of barbarians than just running through and hoping for the best. Since I play lots of solo Night Train, I find these guys to be kinda easy in a 1v1. But this many at once is horrible. Let's do something else instead. I had been thinking about what kind of build I want to do for this run, and I know exactly what build I want, but it'll be a while before I can get it. But for now I need something better than a claymore. I try heading to Leonir through the quote-unquote secret path around Stormvale. Fun fact about me, on my first playthrough of Elden Ring, I found this secret path before I found the main entrance to Stormvale. The wolves have of course been replaced by barbarians. So this is a tight squeeze with a couple of deaths. I get to the 4 belfries, defeat the grafted hunter, and get his shield. This is the only shield with 100% physical damage negation that I know of that's relatively easy to obtain in the early game. But let me know in the comments below if there's any other shields that are easier to get. It's great against hordes of barbarians. I just need more stamina and poise. But it does have one glaring issue, I can't block from behind. But it's better than nothing. Then I decided to get one of my favorite weapons in the game. Oops, 1v1 fights are supposed to be easy. There we go. There's my prize, Bloodhound Fang. One of my favorite weapons in the game. I decide to enter Stormvale and defeat Hunter the Fell Omen. There's no footage because unfortunately the game crashed, which caused Windows to crash, which messed up my recording. But the fight was easy and uneventful. The small corridors are the challenging part, not the bosses. Normally at this point in a regular playthrough, I would go get the smithing and some bell bearings. But going into all those caves sounds like a horrible idea. So I spend the next hour getting as many stones as I can in the open world. I speak to Iggy and get Sommer 1 through 4. Sommer 8 and 9 can be found in Dragon Barrow. 5, 6, and 7 are a bit harder to get with the map progression I currently have, but plus 4 will work for now. Now to take down some remembrance bosses. My original plan was to do Gardrig as one of the 2 great rune bosses I needed. But I decided against going through Stormvale. For this video I originally wanted to do all remembrance bosses. But I had a major problem that prevented me from doing so, limited space on my PC. I'm going to be real with you guys for a minute. I have a potato PC. It only has 750 gigabytes of total storage. but because of all the games I have installed for making all these videos, I only have about 150 gigabytes left for videos. And with the recording settings I use, that's only about 15 hours of footage. And doing all the remembrance bosses would probably take like 100 plus hours. So I literally don't have the storage on my PC to do all the remembrance bosses in one video. That's why just beating the game will be a 2-part video. And if I get 100 new subscribers from this specific video, I'll go back and do all the remembrance bosses across several more videos. Also, for every new subscriber I get until the 1st of May 2026, I'll do one boss hitless in a Souls or Souls-like game. So please consider subscribing. So far I have to do 19 bosses hitless. Also this poll decides one of the bosses that I have to do hitless. So please consider voting on it. Anyways, all that being said, I'm choosing to do Radahn as one of my great rune bosses because he requires the least amount of dying over and over in tight corridors in order to access. None of the others sound particularly easy or fun, because they all require tight corridors to reach. But I'll decide which one I'm doing later. So I need to light an Altus Grace in order to access Radahn. And that involves doing the hardest challenge of the run so far, getting to Altus. Normally, it's super easy. You just grab the Dectus halves, and go to the lift. But both Dectus halves proved to be impossible with my current build. The Babahus would just gank me before I even got up these stairs. So I do the hardest challenge of the run yet, the precipice. This is by far the worst area in the entire video. Basically, it was an RNG check. Bell-bearing Hunter has a huge aggro range, so almost all of them would aggro at once. And most of the narrow ledges were really tiny. So I couldn't just sneak around. I had to just run straight through and hope they would do specific attacks that I could easily dodge or block. If they did the attack where the sword glows red and flies around, it was over. I just had to run through them over and over until they didn't do that attack. But eventually, I got through and defeated the Magma Hunter. Now that I have an Altus Grace, I can now do Radahn. On the way there, I picked up my Sommo 5. For the boss itself, I try using all the summons to beat up the Star Scourge Hunter, but they die almost instantly. Looks like I have to do everything myself. Okay, now to get a Sommo 6 while getting access to another potential great rune boss. I do Varus questline, invade not Magnus, get my Sommo 6, and get the Pure Blood Knight's medal. Then I go to the Mogwin Palace. I thought using this method to get to Mog placed you very close to the boss gate. But I was wrong. You have to get through all these enemies, which normally isn't an issue. But of course the Babahus body blocked me and defeated me in 2 shots because of the enemy scaling from the randomizer. I even try using magic that makes me invisible and silences my footsteps, but they still somehow sense me. I suppose they are immune to these effects. So Mog isn't possible to access with my current build, and I don't feel like doing a different great rune boss right now. So let's do something else instead. I go to the Shaded Castle. After skirting around these Babahus, I get to the Grace. If you know anything about this area, you know what I'm after here. This area wasn't that bad to get through. Here was my method of getting through that I learned after a couple of deaths. I jumped over this gap instead of taking the ladder to avoid aggroing some enemies. For some reason, this guy took a while to aggro so I could easily climb up the ladder. I shielded my way through this section, got body blocked again, made it to the elevator, got knocked off, survived somehow, and shuffled my way around this ledge until I could get back on the elevator. I made it to the boss in only like 10 tries. Of course, this boss is a joke by now. And now for my prize, the Babaha weapons and armor. I have become the bell-bearing hunter. But wait, 23 arcane? That's crazy. I only have like 9 arcane. Okay, I still have to use Bloodhound Fang for a bit, and decided my second remembrance boss will be Renala so I can change my stats. Time for Hogwarts. I get the key, enter the portal, and stand before the elevator. I frame through this door, grab the grace, and start making my way through the castle. This part is annoying. The enemies are very low scaled relative to my level, so it takes like 10 plus hits for them to kill me. But they still do an insane amount of poise damage. I considered getting the poise talisman, but it's in a cave. I think I'll pass. But I eventually learn the path to run through. I can just run past these guys, go to the right of the bridge, and hop down. This is a safe spot. I run past these two, and pray they don't all spam the red flying sword attack. Eventually, I make it to the grace. This part is relatively easy to sprint through, and the bell-bearing hunter of Rathagan goes down easily. This next part should have been easy, except for the fact that I'm stupid. I get knocked down the pit by the shield attack a couple of times because I get too close to the ledge. Let's take a moment to remember that canonically, the Tarnished we play as is actually dying over and getting revived each time. Anyways, if I stay more than 2 inches from the edge, it's very easy to get to the bridge. I've heard many people say this wall is annoying to get past. But I'm mid-rolling here and I just roll right through. The trick is to be at the side of the stairs rather than the middle. Anyways, both phases of Elma, Queen of the Full Moon go down easily. Now I can access Lane Door. But first, let's get my 23 arcane. There we go. I do need more endurance so I can mid-roll with a shield, but this is good for now. I'll do one more boss to end the video. Boss goes down very easily, and I rest at the grace. So far, this challenge has been really fun. It's mildly challenging, but not pull my hair out difficult. I'm curious to see how Lindell and Far Azula will be. But if you guys want to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified when I post part 2.